together.
Exactly.
That's why I brought the
That's why community is so important.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say.
Right.
So this is a great time for us too, because we have not officially started.
I know. We can go on and on with that.
I feel like I'm in therapy. We're not going to keep going there.
No, but this is what this is about.
No,
Remember,
I
let me
agree.
tell you, earlier this week, or actually on Friday, when we had our normal Friday meeting, I said, especially in this day and time, in the point of our life where we are, we have to relieve pressure off of each other.
Yeah.
Pressure burst pipes, right? And so, right now we're still honing in on who this podcast is for and how we operate. And I just had this this download. It was like, there's so many people that are getting ready to lose it and lose it all because they have pressure built up. And I feel like we can come together and have the conversations to just kind of, even if we just help relieve it and just bring awareness to it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So thank you so much for being our great guest today, Chimere. My name is Tameshia. First of all, welcome back. As you can see, we didn't waste any time today getting started on this particular conversation, and I'm super excited. My name is Tameshia. I am one of the co-hosts of the Convene team.
My name is Christi, and Christi Farmer, and I'm the other co-host of the Convene team.
Yes. And today, again, we have Chimere Faulk, who is here with us. She has a beautiful spirit. She has a beautiful business, and we are going to dive into that. And you know what I've learned is nobody can tell your story like you. Mm-hmm. So I want you to kind of take us on a little journey on, who you are, what you do, and then we'll dive in from there.
Okay. Well, I'll give you the synopsis pretty much. My name is Chimere Faulk. I'm the creator of Dr. Locs. I have been a loctician for over 15 years, servicing the natural hair and lock community since about 2005. And pretty much the product line is for the lock community. I found a need back in 2011 when I branded myself as a natural hair lady. I was servicing natural hair and lock clients in my home, and it was pretty cool. It was a little small area. It was a mood. And then I branded myself. My background's in creative advertising. Okay. And so just as I graduated, social media started. So it was like, I love this, but this is something different. Mm-hmm. So I learned how to brand myself with SEO and all that, and people started flying me out to different cities around the country to start their locks. I did lock extensions. And so as I started doing that, I'm consulting with them and guiding them on their lock journey. And then it was like, what do I use? Mm-hmm. So what I realized is that as a Black woman, typically we have a line. Like I use Shea Moisture, I use this line, but in the lock community, it wasn't a thing, like my thing. So I noticed clients were like, okay, what do I use now? I'm like, okay. So around that time, Chris Rock had his new movie, Good Hair. Yes. Mm-hmm. And so it was like a big natural hair product boom. And so, but it was like always they had something, but it was like a little jar of something, a paste or something for locks. They didn't really understand what the lock community needed. And so I was like, okay, use that. And they'll use it. And I'm like, and they're like, Chimere, they're FaceTiming me. And I'm like, okay. And I was like, use that. And we kept doing that. And I was like, okay, let me figure it out. Hold tight. And so I literally just went online and just started looking and thinking about, I knew what I wanted hair to feel like, but I'm not a chemist. So I was not thinking about making a product line. And also I had locks for 10 years. I had locks from 1997 to 2007 for 10 years. So I went from perm to locks to loose natural. Mm-hmm. And so I remember what I was going through back then. There was no internet back then. But I was like, let me figure it out. So I went to Whole Foods and started mixing oils and water together, and I shook it up, and I was like, all right. So I started spraying on my clients, and they were like, what is that stuff? Like, can you make some for me? I'm like, all right, let me go to Sally's. I went to Sally's and got some bottles and put it in the bottles and sold it for $5. And then Dr. Locs was born with Miss Brenda. She always liked to assist and look at my clients' hair before I wash their hair and just look at the hair and talk to the hair. And she's just talking about something else. I'm like, what her hair is soft. Like, why is this? And I'm like, Miss Brenda, why is your hair soft? And she was like, girl, that stuff that you sold me last time. I'm like, and then Dr. Locs was like, mode, and I started thinking about all the things, all the problems my clients were giving to me. Like, hey, a shampoo doesn't last long and this and that. And I always had notes. And so I drew out everything like, all right, that's going to do that. Okay, cool. So I just went to work, and I decided, I feel like it was like my ancestors. It was just like pulling me here to here. And I just went to work. And for me, as a single mother, a single woman that's a mother, I was like adamant about like creating something down the line so we can eat continuously. Yes. I knew I wasn't gonna do hair for the rest of my life. Right. I don't know how I still keep on doing hair. I like people, they like me, and I just, I don't like everybody, but I like, what I'm saying? I like my clients that just keep going. But after that, I officially opened up like an Etsy in 2014.
Okay. So what's that timeline? I know you like from Brenda to the Etsy.
So Brenda, I believe it was about like 2012, something like that. And then like maybe it's all like a fuzzy situation. But probably 2013. I gave up a bunch of times. That's why it's kind of fuzzy too, because going in the kitchen and making a formula, loving it, but forgetting how I made it. Leaving everything on the kitchen table, telling my 2 and 3 year old, let's go have dinner make a picnic in the living room because mommy's frustrated. And like, and then going back, roll my sleeves. I gave up so many times. So timeline wise, I would say I made it kind of official 2014. From 2012, like about 2 years. And during that time, 2012 and 2014, I was with my clients. Hey, I have this thing. Do you mind if I use it on you? And they're like, hell yeah, Chimere. They trusted me.
Right.
So I'm like, I have avocado and jojoba oil over there, and I'm just like, let me add a little bit more here, and like mad scientist literally on their hair, and then assessing it and seeing, okay, next time, blah 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 blah. And so by 2014, I felt like, okay, this is good. And
so were you I see you saying you were a stylist. Were you a full-time stylist?
Yeah. So great question.
Yes.
Great question. So actually, if I can go back in time. So when I moved down here after graduation,
down here
from Virginia. So I graduated
to Atlanta. Okay.
I graduated from Virginia Commonwealth University. Woo woo. And I moved down here in 2004. And my first job was AMC Theaters. Then I moved to Best Buy. I was like, what the hell? Like, no one wanted to hire me, and I'm like, I was going for ad agencies. I wanted to work for an advertising company. They wouldn't hire me. And so I officially got like my first corporate job at Kroger. Okay. Oh my gosh. So it was over there by Boulder Crest. I lived in Marietta. So 50-minute ride to work every day in traffic. Everyone told me to go to college. Right. And I hated my life. The people there made me hate my life because they hated their job. And I grew up as a little girl watching my parents not be satisfied, and I wanted to be satisfied. Yes. So I was like, this is not my life. And so driving to and from every morning, going back, I was listening to 107.9. Rashawn Ali was on there, the 18, the morning.
Shout out to Rashawn.
I love you, Rashawn. Yes. And I would listen to them. And in Virginia, we're pretty conservative when it comes to religion. But down here, everyone's like, I'm Christian, boom, 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 boom. So I remember them praying on the radio station. I remember them kikiing. And I'm a kiki type girl. I'm laughing all the time. And so I was having fun. Like, they were my friends. But got to the job, turned the car off, walk up the stairs. The clocking box was literally by my desk. Clunk, 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 every morning. And the coffee machine. And I was like, what the hell? This can't be my life.
So what do you think sets you apart from, because you're going to work, everybody there don't like their job, but you didn't stay there. Like, you was like, I'm going to do something about this. What makes you different from the person who is probably still in up on Facebook, on Instagram. They work with you at Kroger. You knew they didn't like it then. They might be over the Publix now. Like, they changed the store, but they still not liking it. What was in you that you're like, this not in other people, that set you apart? Like, how did you come out of that?
I was born that way. Like, I was a little girl. Shout out to my parents. I love them. They didn't like their shit. Like, they didn't like, I was born that way. It wasn't something that was just click. I knew I was here. I would like practice what I would say to people when I'm accepting awards or whatever. Yeah. I was a child at every cookout when my uncle had a camcorder. I'm in front of them talking like I'm on an interview or something like that. I knew I had something to share with people, but I didn't know that. But in hindsight, I always knew because it was like I would see people feel that way, but I didn't suck that up and make it mine. Like I was like, well, that's the way you feel. I knew I wanted to do something that was not really necessarily be a famous person, but I just wanted to enjoy my life. All of the jobs I've had when my young years, I always quit a job. I never gave it 2 weeks. I didn't have to explain myself. This doesn't bring me joy.
Right.
That's just the way I've been. My mom, and she reminded me in hindsight, I've always been an entrepreneur. I was I was a babysitter. You know, as soon as I could I was the age, I was making money. Like I knew, like it was like, and I didn't even look at it as entrepreneurship. I was like, you want to pay me? Okay, cool. That's easy. Cool. I didn't like the tough way. Everyone was made like the way you're supposed to be as an adult, supposed to be. I look at people and see how it works for them. It don't work for you, so why would I listen to you?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, those people and I'm in this corporate office now, and everyone is bragging about their vacation days, and I'm like,
401k,
you guys are bragging about these things, but you're unhappy, you're disgruntled, you guys are doing corporate fights and stuff. I'm a keep it real type girl. I didn't understand if I don't got a problem, we're gonna talk. But it was you had to do it a different way, and I'm like, this is stuff my parents are going through. So it just never was in my blood, you know. And
so when were you able to walk away from like, I'm not working for anybody else, I'm gonna do?
Oh, we gonna get to that. Yeah. So here we go. So, and this is all of evolution. So I always worked at a gym. So yeah. Rashawn Ali, she said during the radio station, often, do what you love, you never work a day of your life. I never heard that before. I just heard go to college. My parents didn't go to college. So I went to college and this is what we got. So do what you love. I'm like, I used to do hair in the dorms. That was dope. I just didn't like the people I was doing hair with, but it was dope. So if I could figure out, okay, so I just knew that. But I also said, do what you love. Okay, I was always a gymmer. I worked at the gym. I was a manager at the gym at school. So I was like, all right, I like that. So let me go get a job at LA Fitness. So I worked at the gym while I was working there. And eventually they laid us off. So my mom thought, I called her. I'm like, Mom, they paying me to leave. I was like, girl, you crazy. I was so happy. They gave me a check. And I used it to buy my first Mac computer to do design because I knew I could make money making design. So I started assisting small businesses with their designs and stuff like that. And then I moved up as a manager at LA Fitness. So and that's all different. So I loved working at the gym at school, but then I'm working for this corporation now. I don't like this. Y'all are ridiculous. These don't make no sense. Right. Like people are working out, chill. Like it wasn't fun anymore. I want to enjoy
numbers. Like what wasn't fun about it?
It wasn't selling the memberships.
The numbers. Yeah.
I didn't have to do that in college. So I was like, I'm always gonna be a big kid. I'm not having fun. Like I love taking care of my the people there, the guests there, and the way the business was set up. It's a great business, but the way the business is, they're not really that kind to people. You know, it's a corporation. And so I was like, I remember that echoed, do what you love, you never work a day of your life. So I was like, I like the hair. So I went online, I looked online how to go to school for hair. And at that time there was no
like natural hair. It wasn't
still kind of brewing. I had locks, and so it was like, okay, so I went online, I went to Craigslist, and I found this lady that has a shop. And she was looking for a natural hairstylist. So I was like, I bet. I applied. And then so she was like, oh, it'd be great, but you need a license. Like, let me go online and figure that out. And then I didn't find, everything was just talking about other things other than natural hair. I was like, screw that. I ain't going through that again, waste more money on another degree. So one day I was training a new employee at the gym, and she called me a month later. She was like, hey, I figured our way around it. You could work underneath my license. I was like, bet. So long story short, I became the manager. I branded her shop. I pulled her shop up. We were doing.
So how did she know? Because I mean, I'm gonna tell you what it sounds like. It sounds to me like you were in there networking and talking to people. Because how would this woman know? Like you were looking for? Because
I applied. I went on Craigslist. I found her shop. So she was looking for someone like me.
So because someone was looking for somebody like. But then you say you were talking to a lady in the LA workout place, or did I misunderstand that?
Oh, no.
Okay.
It was somebody, like, I applied for her job opening online, and I applied, and we were responding back and forth, and so she was like, oh man, you need this to work here. So a month later, she called me back.
Oh, she reached back. This is the same person reached back out to you.
Yeah, she reached back out to me. No, what I was telling you was that I was training someone, and she called me as I was training.
Gotcha.
And so I was like, and I remember all right, you keep doing that. I got this call, you know? And so it was like freedom, you know? Because at the time I loved the gym. I loved it. To this day, I love the gym atmosphere. It was just like I'm just a big kid, and I just want to enjoy my life and make money too. So I got hired. That was such a sweet space in my life where it was like, wow, it was less tense. I'm in the shop. I ain't got no clients yet, but we chatting. I'm grabbing at lunch. I'm learning new techniques. We're in little 5 points. At the time, I still wasn't sure about Atlanta, but when I started seeing colored hair, natural hair, flavor, all up in little 5 points, I was like, I like Atlanta. This is kind of cool. And so I worked it. And then one day I told her I'm going to leave LA Fitness. So I gave them my note. I just told them I'm leaving. Right. So I was like,
you don't do notices.
No, one of your notices. And so, and then that was like the birth of my true entrepreneurship, where it's like, all right, cool. I didn't have any children yet or anything like that. But during that process, I worked at that shop for about 5 years. I created a little family. Then we're discovering I'm going to co-parent. And so that came about. And then me and that woman, she let everyone go. And so now I just got an apartment because I separated from my children's father. And I'm trying to learn that life of co-parenting because I grew up with my parents. I have a 2 and a 3-year-old. And then 1 month later, that lady let me go from the shop.
Gotcha.
And so I'm like, what the hell?
Right.
So I go back to do what you love. You never work a day of your life. I like computers. I love my computer. So I got a job at Apple. Apple perimeter store. I got a job there. But while that was happening, people from that shop was like, yo, you were doing my hair. What is this? What, and so I was like, I don't know what's happening. I turned 30. It was so much changing. I'm uncomfortable. I didn't think I was gonna be a single mother. And I'm like, it was hard. And so what I started doing was, all right, how much money do I need to make? How much to keep a lifestyle I want? And so I just started promoting. I created my website, branded myself as a natural hair lady. I didn't want to ever do hair in my house, but what clients kept coming to me and finding me online because I had my design website up. They're like, Chimere, I don't know what's going on, but what you need, and this one lady was like, I don't care if you're in a back alley with a step stool. I'll never forget this. She's like, I'm going to do my hair. I don't care, because I was making excuses. I'm in my house. Right. She was like, I don't care. And so everyone started coming to me, and I was like, okay. And I'm getting 100% of my money. I'm like, oh shit. Okay, so that's when I started branding myself as a natural hair lady, and I had to learn how to do this. The one thing that was bothering me was that my children are with me. So I'm like, okay. So what I taught them was why we're doing this. I didn't want to be that mother that's like, go sit down, I'm trying to do hair. It's hectic. I'm not that mother. So I would put them in my salon chair in the living room, their little legs be sticking out, and I would rub up against their legs and kind of irritate them. And I'm like, does that feel good? It's like, no. I was like, all right. So then when clients would come and they would hand me the money, I'll let them see it. And so I'll take the money, and then we'll go drive up the street, and we'll go to the ATM machine. See, mommy's putting this money on an ATM card, on the card. Then we go to the store, and we'll buy food. So you see what's happening? But if you irritate the client and make them feel not comfortable, they won't come back. So they were like,
they got it.
Yeah. Understand the process.
After that, they were in, all right, mommy, deuces, like, you do your thing, mommy. They understood what was going on. And so I didn't have to yell, or, and then I had clients that don't want kids, was like, I think I want. Because social media is still kind of new. Barbers at the time was still passing out cards, and they were watching me get all these. I'm flying everywhere. And they're like, "How?" So
that leads me to your current Instagram, though. Like, you have 85,000 followers. How did you go from doing the hair in your house with the kids trained, or you probably would hate the word trained. What word would you use?
Guide.
Guided. Okay, they're correctly guided. And now you're being flown around. Like, how did you go from that to the beginning of, because that was what, 2014 you said?
Yeah, 2011. Okay. So I have 2 pages. So I was doing all of that on my personal page, which is now Chimere Faulk. But at the time, it was Natural Hair Lady.
Gotcha.
And so it was kind of a mixture of me showing my personal life, and I'm a natural hair stylist. And so I didn't open up Dr. Locs, which is the one that has the more followers, until I was like, I think I have this brand. So I separated that.
Well, I actually, I think it was the Voyage Atlanta page or interview that you did, or it may have been that, or somewhere in one of the publications, and you talked about the fact that somebody actually like poured into you and was able to like give you like your seed money to even to even be able to come up with your products. And let me tell you, and I have to say this. I met you in person a few months back. So it was April. We were vending at a vending show here in Atlanta. And I don't have locks, right? At this point in my life, I don't necessarily want to have locks. And so I was talking to you, and you were like, girl, try this product. You know, you were like, this is something that everybody can use, and it's just like daily moisturizer. I have my whole family on it now. I cannot wait till we have to rebuy some, because when I tell you like this, I can walk by somewhere and somebody will compliment me on how my hair smells. So, and then even how it feels. And so I want you to talk to us about the transition. So you doing the hair, you doing all that, you formulated your products, but then the part about like that seed that was birthed, because everybody, we all desire to have somebody to be able to see what it is that we're doing and get inspired enough and have the resources to say, here, go forth and be great.
Yep. So that was a client of mine that had started with me with her lock journey since the shop that I was working at. She had been watching me. She once was a single mother as well. She, at the time, had a husband and everything. So she saw herself in me. And she remembered one time, randomly, while she was a single mother, someone paid her rent. And she still to this day doesn't know who that was. And so she always knew that she wanted to do something for me and to pay it forward. And so she, this was, so now we're in my house and she's there, and I'm just like, you know, she sees me do this thing, you know, I'm creating this line on their head and stuff. And so she was like, let me know. She just kept on saying that. And with me trying to be Shiro, I'm like, I got it, I'm trying to figure it out. But then I just had to sit and was like, all right, I have this amazing idea. I need help. Like I have a goal, and my goal was to like have more bottles and all the formulation, like all my ingredients I need to be. And I just wanted to make it a real thing. And so she was like, she gave me, I'm not gonna say her name, but she's like, don't tell my husband. But she literally texted me her credit card information over the phone. It was like, she gave me $1,600, and I bought, and she just knew I wasn't playing. Right. You know, she knew all my children, their names are in the bottles and stuff. Like I really was Janan, that's my daughter's middle name. Okay. And so I made that so they can feel like a part of this process. So she gave me her credit card information. So that was like my ammo, part of the ammo for me to keep going. The next year, I decided I wanted to be in a natural hair show. That was 2016. And so I went online and I created like a GoFundMe. That was one of the frighteningest thing I did, because it was like I am asking,
putting yourself out there.
Yeah, I'm asking for something. So I put together like a video, like a little illustration video with my voice on it, and I posted, and I was like, And then a friend of mine, a guy friend, shout out to Tariq, he was like, you have to you got to tell your story. So what I started doing was reposting the link and tell them another aspect of my why. And people, because the algorithm, people didn't see it yesterday, so I kept putting it up there, and that was and what was happening, friends from college, a second cousin, everyone started rooting for me, like, oh yeah, all right, here's $50, here's da-da-da. And I was like, oh my God. So
now, did you promise them anything back in return? It was just poured into.
I just told them, this is what I'm trying to do, can you help me? You know, because I still don't know what to expect, but I was like, just can you help me? And so just sharing with different aspects of my business, they were like rooting for me. So I created this village amongst my people about what I was doing, just being transparent. That's why I always suggest new entrepreneurs to stop waiting to be perfect. Mm-hmm. You can share the process and people, sometimes people will never be your customer. They're just going to be your cheerleader.
Right.
I don't ever expect.
So that leads me to ask you about you said in your Instagram, you went from, it's now under your name, the personal one.
Yeah, natural hair.
So how did you go from, what made that decision to go from that being a natural hair lady to it being your name?
I feel like I was losing myself. I don't really actually enjoy people calling me Dr. Locs or natural hair lady. It was like once Dr. Locs grew to past 50K followers, I just kind of stepped back because I don't.
So the brand represents itself.
Yeah, the brand represents itself. Natural hair lady, I do locks. But I recognize the light in me, like the things I've been talking and sharing behind the chair for years, and people praying on me saying, "You, Chimere, it was something." I was like, "I'm Chimere." So I wanted to separate myself from my brands, like letting my brand grow and be its own thing, and then me being working on myself and my brand,
Mm-hmm.
So even on your Chimere Faulk page, on Instagram, you know how you have the link tree. So I love one of the first link that you have up there is, let me help you pretty much figure out yourself through astrology and, those type of things. And then you kind of go down, you will share some things about Dr. Locs and other places where people can find you. But then me following you for a while, I also know that, you are very transparent and open about co-parenting. And so I do see why you would have had to separate that, because everybody down the Dr. Locs page
they don't want to hear about co-parenting.
Right. And so that is actually something really good to bring up to people. It's like, if you don't necessarily have to be the face of your brand, let the brand stand for itself. You have your own personal page, and if you feel and so inclined to share other things, if you're into yoga, if you're into, if you're a vegan, if you're whatever, do that on that page. But I see a lot of times that people try to just have that one page and they run everything through it, and it throws people off.
Yeah. And it's an art to it. So for me, with Dr. Locs, still showing the behind the scenes too, because people really want to know people know. They want to know what's right. You know what I'm saying? And they want to root for you and stuff like that. So I still try to do that as well. But I also, as I'm growing and maybe get acquired and all this big stuff, I don't want to be the face of the business. I don't want to be the face of the business. Like, I want the business to grow on its own, but to me, it's been a spiritual thing where it's like, if I made this amount of money, that's who I am. Like, no, like, Chimere, you are that. And now I'm like, I'm past 40 now, so I got called auntie by somebody on live one time, so I guess I'm there
we're
now.
Aunties.
But,
we're out there.
So it's like you just being this whatever. I'm always inspired. And I don't have my business keep me from saying the things I really want to talk about.
But I think that, because we talked about this a little bit earlier, like off camera, where you were talking about the different stages. I would call it the stages of life, but you do the spiritual, I don't know, what would you call it?
In human design.
Human design, okay, right. Where there's levels, like it's when you're in your 20s, you're doing this. When it's not necessarily tied to your age. It's not, but it sounded like to me when somebody calls you the auntie, that is like basically showing that you're going to that next stage. Is that what you would? Because that's the first thought went to my mind.
Yeah, so I'm not afraid of that. Like, I feel good because I have friends in their 50s and they were in their 40s when I was in my 30s. So I watched them and it's like, I feel really good. I would not want to be in my 20s again.
Lord
like,
knows.
Especially this time of the
year. Yeah, I would not. I really love where I'm at.
Right.
And so yeah, I don't.
Something earlier, just a few minutes ago, like, this is, if people don't know it or not, this business entrepreneurship is a spiritual journey. Like, some of our first episodes were about mindset, and it was about the fact that, like, you really have to know who you are, and that's the season of where I'm at right now. I am learning who I am without the attaching me to anything that I do. Right. But getting back to really who I am, And that's, I think, is where the magic starts to happen, because when you can really separate that and you can think, again, things are happening to and in your business, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's happening to and inside of you. And then if it is, really like digging deep to figure out, what is it that I need to be learning from this? What is it that I need to let go? Like you talk about seasons. So like the Jim Rohn book, right? Is it Jim Rohn?
Seasons of life.
Seasons. So when you can recognize that, you know, what season that you're in within yourself, like right now I must be in like winter, because things are falling out of my life that, you know, that were once there that I thought was like the stability portion, right? So like right now, what season do you think that you're in when it comes to life?
Girl, 42, girl. And I'm me and my girlfriend was talking this morning. I said, I think this is what they call midlife crisis.
So tell us about that. Like, what are the characteristics of what's going on right now that would make you think it's midlife crisis for you?
So learning, once I'm holding my back up straight more, because I'm always a student. So I've met people that I've reverenced as my mentors, and I'll not recognize who I am. I'm secretly mentoring them, you know. And so I'm in this season. It's like a fall. Okay. A lot of things that I'm learning how to speak. I'm learning how to negotiate. Not accept every offer that comes to me, and just know that you always can negotiate. So I'm learning how to negotiate. I'm learning my power. Like I know that's such a general thing to say, but like learning, like I'm finally listening to what people have been saying, like what they see of me. I finally believe it now.
Right.
Yes.
I've always been, because with me, since I was a little girl, I've always saw everyone in their light as a hairstylist, seeing the beauty in people. And so much is indirectly showing me how beautiful I am. But like, I really am starting to believe it now. And I know the energy I bring into a room. And I'm now standing by women that do that as well. I no longer am around women that don't know. I'm not in the business of sharing and teaching you who you are no more.
Right.
I don't have time for that. Like, I don't have time. If you hadn't learned that, you gotta let somebody else to do it. I'm not gonna do it.
Let somebody else do it.
Yeah, I'm not.
And I like that, because I like what you said, because women can be at two different places, and the point that you made was like, you're not listening to what other people
I heard it.
You heard what people were saying, and you didn't believe it. And I feel like I'm the very opposite, in that I'm not listening to what people saying, because I've known who I was all the time, but I was always listening to other people's opinion about it, because I wasn't comfortable with who I was. So if somebody says like, you giving too much, they'll be like, oh, am I really? Maybe I should, bring it down 1,000. So I'm like the opposite, is that now I'm like, I'm not listening to what people are saying, and I'm sticking to what I always knew I was. And it sounds like you've had people who were feeding into you, and you just didn't believe it.
So a little bit both. So when I was younger, this girl, she told me I was doing too much. When I was in 9th grade, we were in a call, and ever since she said that, I was dimming my light and in putting into other people. And then when I, started going, I'm a big girl now, I'm 30 something. In all my 30s, people as a hairstylist, people pouring into me. So it's just like I started to learn how to let that go, and realizing who she was and why she felt that way. So anyone that doesn't see their light is gonna say something like that.
Well, you got to understand when people are projecting onto you.
Exactly.
You have to understand when people are sent to be your mirror, because sometimes, and it's so interesting that so even with you, like I literally think you're my mirror, and I had to see some things within myself, and I was like, "Ooh, okay, I'm going to observe this. I'm going to take this in, and then I'm going to figure out what direction I want to go from there." I have plenty of people in my life. I've projected myself onto people who, that means that like that was absolutely not who they were. It was something within me that I was trying to make them be or make them see, and it was absolutely wrong. And I learned that about myself, to just kind of don't project who I am onto somebody else. See them for who they are, or learn that sometimes I need to be a mirror for some people, or just different. It's just the different character, the different roles.
And you need to go back and watch our other episodes so you can realize what you've just put out of us during this episode, because I think that's a reflection of who you are and what you pull out of people. Because there's people who sit in this seat and they're not going to get this conversation from us. And that's a reflection of who you are. So I would say go watch other episodes and compare to how the energy in this one is different from other ones, and that speaks a lot to who you are.
Thank you. I received that. I listen more. And I've learned through all the retreats and all that and everything. I've learned, but I don't have to, like we mentioned off camera, like the emotional part. I'm learning that balance, I don't have to sit here and be like, hold your hand, let's look at your natal chart. Like, I don't have to do that. Like, just listen, because the thing is, no matter what comes out my mouth, it's always going to be my stuff. You guys, I'm the director in my chair. You guys are the characters in my world.
Yes.
Same for you're the director. You know what I'm saying? So whatever I say, it's going to be from my lens. So that means to me now, I just listen. Because the things that's coming up in my head, it's for me to understand, unless someone asks me my perspective. But when I do that, I'm like, hey, this is my perspective. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But it was exhausting, especially being behind a chair. And even I've shifted in the chair where, when I first started, I was giving. I look back at old pictures of myself. I don't recognize myself. I was so dehydrated. I was giving so much, but then somehow going to therapy, understanding, just started looking at things. That was I'm in a different space right now. But then the second space was like I don't have to do that. Like, you're exhausting yourself, giving yourself back. And like my clientele changed, because before it was like they come in with big boxes with their issues. Boo. And I'm like, I didn't go to school for this.
So heavy.
I didn't do that. So
we need to book you again, because this is about to go into a whole nother.
Okay.
But it's interesting though, because we're gonna have to do this one in a part. Like, we can really continue to go, and because it's and let me tell you something. The universe works in the mysterious, so many mysterious ways, right? And I've learned to just go, trust, and just go, right? Because we actually were supposed to have a second guest today. And so because we didn't, I do feel like we should just keep going, because there is a part of your journey that we haven't necessarily dived into, and I know this is a passion, and so we're gonna break it up so that you'll be on 2, and then we'll continue to go with our plan. But like I said, where I am right now, I have detached from a lot of outcomes, and I am literally just going. I'm just going. And it feels beautiful, because it feels, I used to be the person that tried to make stuff happen, just make stuff happen. And
I learned that lesson.
And then when it didn't happen, I feel some type of way about myself, or feel some type of way about somebody else. And now I'm talking about when it comes to my parents, my grandparents, my sisters, brothers, friends, anything. I take the lessons, I take the blessings, I take all of that, and I just continue to move forward. So, like I said, this whole conversation is beautiful, and it's really beautiful when you can just really walk into your light.
Yeah,
I think that goes to your point of the world being mysterious, like the universe being. I don't think the universe really is mysterious. I think it stops being mysterious when you take time to listen to what's going around you, because it's like listening to what you said. I'm gonna let you chime in this, because that legit like you got to drop something on us with that one. But it just sounds like, because I used to be in that same exact space, and I've realized all the problems I've had in life came from me trying to make something happen in my timeline with the people that I thought it should happen with, when all the signs were there, like not this person, yes this person, but it was like, but that person or that situation or that business or doesn't fit my timeline. And so I would try to make something. So with that being said, I don't think the universe is really mysterious. I think it's really wide open and shows us exactly which road, which lane, which people to go. We just have to be open to it. And I think it stops being mysterious to us when we are open to it. And we start seeing it for what it is, not for what we want it to be. Then that's when it becomes
magical.
That's why I tell people I live in a magical world. Yes, and it's because I look at how things are always working for me. Okay. And it's like put inside ego. Like one thing that helped me the past treacherous years I've had in business is letting go of the neck of how I want it to happen. Just letting go. Literally feeling like you cuckoo. I'm like, you know what? If it goes, it goes. It comes, it comes. I don't know. Because at the end of the day, I'm not going to lose myself in my business.
Right.
I feel a lot of people during this time, since after 2020, a lot of people in business are going through it right now.
The pipes are
bursting.
Exactly. But it's like, but what happens, we have it on a chokehold on how we know, how we want it to happen.
Or we're looking to the left and the right, and we're looking to what is happening to other people. But I'm telling you, you don't know what they had to go through. You don't know nothing.
Yeah.
And then if we just get offline and get back into ourself, sit with yourself.
Well, I think that goes to the point you were saying about your why, because it sounds like what you were just saying just then is probably a back to my why type moment. Like when you're clear about why you're doing things, and it sounds to me, you can correct me if I'm not, but like even the separation of Chimere and Dr. Locs, it was like, this isn't fitting why I'm doing this. Like you wanted to have fun, you wanted, and now people are making you Dr. Locs. You're like, Dr. Locs is the product I created.
Right. And I don't have to like shout it out. I just kind of like, gracefully correct people. Right. And because last year was like, no, it's like a little baby having a tantrum, And so for me, it's been like, no, I am Chimere and Dr. Locs is doing this thing.